I think it's amazing when ancient scripture texts remind us of life today. But that's what we read in the 21st chapter of Luke this Sunday. Similarly, as we read 2 weeks ago in the Gospel of Mark, as Jesus predicts wars and earthquakes, famines, and persecutions. Jesus says there will be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and on earth distress among nations. There will be people fainting from fear and foreboding for what is happening in the world. I think every generation has experienced something to remind them of these ominous words, and our generation is no different. With terrorism and destruction, violence and racism, divisions and distrust, it's no wonder we look around and we think, how could God's kingdom be near? But all the more important is our message this week from Scripture. As we enter into a new church year in the season of Advent, as we anticipate celebrating again the birth of Jesus and look to Jesus' promised second coming, it's important for us to ask ourselves, how can we be faithful in the midst of calamity and fear? Do we hunker down and take cover? Do we close our borders in the name of keeping ourselves safe? Or do we become self-indulgent and careless? Jesus beckons us to stand up and raise our heads and trust in the redemption that our God is working. And as Jesus alludes to, this is drawing near for his hearers. And we note that Jesus is speaking these words on his way to the cross. So then we who are living as a post-cross people, we don't need to adopt a doomsday attitude. We don't need to give up hope and shrink in fear or worry about all that is happening in the world. Instead, we stand up and raise our heads and trust in God's strength, in God's power, in God's redemption. What would it look like if we trusted in what God was doing? What would our lives look like if we believed that God was working goodness in us and through us? What would the world look like if we stood up and raised our heads with courage and hope, trusting in the promise of a God who sent a baby and saved the world? I look forward to seeing you in worship.